Hi, Christopher. Lean forward. My medical students will be observing.
I put up with a lot. But one thing I won't put up with is outdoor power equipment that always breaks down. So I use professional grade equipment from Echo.
Well, we're not going to be putting up with any crappy tools today either. Welcome to Flynndogg Woodwork. Today, I've got another 5 tools that we need to take a look at. So let's not waste any time and dig into these 5 tools. So in today's video, we're going to be tackling 4 categories. That's clamping, organization, measuring, and joinery. And one of these items I'm a little bit concerned about, as I've seen it on other channels, but I'm a little bit skeptical. So let's get rolling and start off with that first item that I'm not too sure about and see if it's any good. So as we all know, router bits can come in all different shapes and sizes. And typically my most common use for a router bit is either for a chamfer, a roundover, or a flush trim. But router bits, among other things, can also be used for joinery. And here are 3 examples of joinery bits that I have in my inventory. The first bit is a tongue and groove bit. The second bit is what I use for rabbets. And thirdly, you can even have bits to do dovetails. And all those bits are great. In fact, my favorite of those 3 bits is my rabbet bit. Rebate. What are you, English now? Of course not. What are you talking about? I just got a rebate on some Alpo dog food. You know that stuff's not half bad with some salt and pepper. Gross, dude. It's like corned beef hash. Oh boy. So let's take a look at our first item, which is also a joinery bit. Bert, hook me up. Here you go. So this is the 45-degree locking miter bit. Let's unbox this and see what it's all about. What the hell is this? Whoops, wrong thing. Here you go. Let's check it out. So here's a look at the bit itself, and as you can see, it's got a really unique design. In my case, I went for the 1/2-inch shank, but this also comes in 1/4-inch shanks. So how does this bit work? Well, to show you, we need to take a look at the side profile of the bit. If we look at this diagram here, you can see how this bit creates interlocking surfaces between any mitered corner, and it essentially creates splines in that miter. And in order to use this bit, you're probably going to want to have a router table with a fence, as you're going to run the first board through horizontally and the second board through vertically. So let's go over to the router table, set this bit up, and see if it actually works. So one of the most difficult things about using this bit is the setup. You want to make sure that the center of the bit is directly in the center of your workpiece. And I've used some calipers as well as some height gauges to really dial in the height of that bit. And I've spent a solid hour trying to dial in that perfect fit with this bit, and frankly, I just can't get there. And any router bit that's going to take that long to set up, I'm just not going to recommend. Let me show you the fits that I was getting. Now this may be a little bit difficult to see, but this is the type of joinery that I was getting. As you can see, it fits together very nicely, but it still has an overhang on the right-hand side. Now I know a lot of you are going to say those are 2 different types of wood with different thicknesses, and I totally agree with you. However, those are the only scraps that I have after all my setups. But my intent on showing you the joinery of those 2 pieces of wood is to show you that this router bit can create a pretty tight connection. However, I just can't overlook the difficulty of the setup, especially if you're dealing with different thicknesses of wood. To me, cutting a simple miter or even adding a spline or 2 is a much easier process. And I'm sure this is all user error with this bit, but I just can't recommend a bit that has this steep of a learning curve. So I'm going to put this bit in the pass pile. If you have some experience on working with these miter bits, leave a comment below and let us know how your experience has been. So let's move on to our next item, as I suspect it's going to be a little bit easier to use. So our next tool is an accessory that you can use with clamps. However, it's perfect for doing uncommon miters. Miter? I barely know they. It's her. I barely know her. It's 2024. It's they these days. Whatever. So let's take a look at this next item that can assist us with those uncommon miters anywhere from 45 degrees up to 90 degrees. Bert, toss me that next item. Yes, sir. Or I guess it's yes, they. Thanks, Bert. Proud of you. It's called being woke. So this next item is the Uonlytech Woodworking Angle Clamp. Let's unbox it and see how it works. So right out of the box, you can tell this is a pretty simple design. You can see there's two clips on either side that you can attach your clamps to. There's also a locking knob as well as some angled measurements. Now, I don't anticipate that I'll be using these angles for any measurements, but they are there to give you an idea if you're in the ballpark of where you need to be. So the way that this is designed to work is that it goes on the interior of any mitered glue up. Now, although it's a little bit difficult to see, there's a little notch cut out into the clamp clip. This will give you the approximate angle of the clip. There's also a locking knob that locks the angle into place. Once you have your approximate angle locked into place with the little tab, you can place it in between the two pieces of wood that make up your miter. Then it's just a matter of placing two clamps on the clip of the tool to hold your miter into place until that glue dries. And with both clamps in place, this will give you just enough support to hold your two miters together until the glue cures. And as I said before, this angled clamp feature can handle any angle between 45 and 90 degrees. And frankly, the settings on this clamp gauge are pretty darn accurate, whether you're doing 90 degrees or 45 degrees. So I can only assume that the angled markings in between are quite accurate as well. Well, that's going to take us through our first two items. Before we move on to our third, I ask you to do me a huge favor, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and leave a comment. It really does help out this woodworking channel. Also, just like with all my videos, if any of these tools interest you, I'll leave links in the description below so that you can go check them out for yourself. Also, I just got my new website up, so if you're interested in any fun woodworking accessories like this shirt, check out www.flynndoggwoodwork.com. This website contains everything from shop updates to tool recommendations to some of my latest videos. So if you're interested in checking out any of those items, check out www.flynndoggwoodwork.com. Now let's check out our third item of the day. So our next item is made by a brand that we've checked out a few products from in the past, and this brand is known for their digital accuracy. Some of you may know this brand from golf rangefinders, but they're slowly making their way into the tool industry.
Yeah, that's where I heard of them. Golf.
You play golf?
Yeah, frisbee golf with clubs.
Figures. Can you hand me that next tool?
Sure thing, I got it all teed up.
So this is the Mileseey 3-in-1 DT20. Let's unbox this and take a look at all of its features. So inside the box, you're going to get the tool itself along with a charging cord as well as a wrist strap. So right off the bat, one thing that I really like about this digital tape measure is its size. Some of the other ones we've looked at on this channel are quite a bit larger. Here you can see the Asigamet digital tape measure and how much larger this is compared to the Mileseey. The Mileseey is small enough that you can still fit it in your pocket. So let's first start off by taking a look at the physical structure of that Mileseey, and then we'll start to talk about its features. On one side of the tape measure, the first button that you'll notice is the on button, and this is what also captures the measurement. You'll also notice the clear or the off button. Next up, you'll notice the function button that allows you to do a lot of the Pythagorean measurements. Next up, we have the unit or the reference button. This allows you to change the units from feet to inches to meters. It also allows you to reference either the front of the tape measure or the back of the tape measure when using the laser distance meter. And the last button is the history button. This will allow you to see any of the previous measurements that you've made. Next up, let's take a look at the front and the top of the tape measure. On the front of the tape measure is where you're going to find your blade, and as you can see, this has both inches and centimeters. Above that is the locking knob, and then you can see the laser distance meter. On the top of the tape measure, you'll find your backlit digital LED display that will give you the exact measurements of your tape measurement. To charge this machine, you simply plug it into the side of the tape measure and plug it into any USB port. One of the first things that I want to do is to test out the accuracy of this tape measure. So I'm going to grab a Woodpecker's 24-inch ruler and measure it out with the tape measure. So I'm first going to take the end of the tape measure and hook it on to the end of the ruler, and then I'll take the tape measure and carry it down the ruler. And with the tape measure butted up against the very end of the ruler, you can see it's giving an accurate measurement of 2 feet exactly. And here is the same test with a 6-inch ruler. So the tape measure appears to be as accurate as we need for any woodworking. And this is a 16-foot tape measure, which in my opinion is the best length for woodworking. But what if you have to do a longer measurement? Well, that's where the laser distance meter comes into play. By pushing and holding the center button, you can instantly transform this tape measure into a laser distance meter. And that distance meter can reach a length of over 130 feet or 40 meters. Simply press that center button and your distance will automatically be displayed. And you can set that distance to reference the back of the tape measure or the front of the tape measure depending on your needs. And this tool also allows you to calculate area and volume whether or not you're using the tape measure or the laser distance meter. And I won't go into detail on this as I've covered it in other videos, but this tool also allows you to use the Pythagorean method to calculate things like heights and other measurements. So this is a powerful tape measure packed with a lot of features that still has a small footprint. So small you can still fit it in your pocket. So if you're looking for a tape measure that has a lot of features and you don't want to lug around a big dog like this may be the perfect tape measure for you. Well, that's going to take us through our first 3 items and only 2 more left to go. And our next 2 items are all about storage in your shop. Now you may have seen my video where I built this French cleat wall or the video where I built all the clamp racks for my clamps in my shop. And these were great additions to my shop. However, some of you may be looking for a quicker and easier solution than building an entire French cleat wall or the racks that go with it. And after a long night of you know what, I found an interesting solution that I'd never seen before. And this is a simple, customizable solution that you can hang right on the wall.
That's a great Red Frank album.
I think you're referring to Pink Floyd The Wall.
I wouldn't know, I'm colorblind.
Can you hand me that next tool?
You mean this big one right here? All right, here you go.
Dear Lord, you are right. This is a big one.
That's what they said.
Oh boy. So these are the Vevor slat wall panels. Let's unbox this and see how they work. So inside the box, you're going to get 2 2-foot by 4-foot slat wall panels, along with some mounting screws so that you can attach it to your wall. So let's take a look at the side profile of one of these panels so that we can see how it works. So you can see that this panel has an MDF core with a laminate top with a T-slot cut out at every 2.5 inches. It's those T-slots that are going to act in a very similar fashion as the cleats on our French cleat wall. And this set comes with 2 panels, but in order to use these panels, I had to buy a couple of accessories. Let's take a look at those. And these are some of the accessories that I purchased. Here you can see a clear plastic shelf, as well as a metal wired basket, and then some metal hooks. Let me show you how these work. If we look at all 3 accessories, you'll notice they have a small little tab that will slide right into these T-slots to give them support. And there are a ton of different accessories for these slat wall panels that are available online, so you can come up with any combination you want. But I want to install one of these panels so that we can see exactly how it works. And here I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach. As you can see with most of my workbenches, I have pegboards on the very back, but I also think these slat panels can be used like pegboards. So I'm actually going to attach this slat panel to the back of one of my workbenches that doesn't have a pegboard. Now, although my workbench is a mess, you can see how nicely this turned out as a backer for a workbench. So you could use this in the same fashion that you use a pegboard. And once it's in place, you can easily slide any of these accessories right into place so that you can use them for storage. And you can obviously attach these panels directly to your walls, so there is a lot of flexibility. Well, that takes us through 4 items so far today and only 1 more left to look at. And as I said previously, our last item also has to do with storage. So if you're anything like me, you may have a lot of storage buckets like these ones laying around your shop. And these are great, and I got them from Walmart for just about $13 for a set of 4. But they're not very durable. I've got a lot of these things laying around my shop that have cracks and holes in them. And here I've got one of the buckets that I store my chisel sharpening kit in, and as you can see, if you put anything with girth in these buckets, they simply chip and split.
You're making it way too easy on me. Cracks, holes, girth. What do you think I am, 14?
Well, you kind of act like it.
Well, I was 14 when I fell off the high dive into that empty pool.
Ah, I forgot they put in that metal plate. Can you hand me that next item so that we can address this storage issue?
That's why I didn't need a helmet in football. Here you go, cuz.
So this next item is the Vevor collapsible storage bin. Let's take a closer look. So inside this box, you're actually going to get 3 of these units. And these storage containers remind me a lot of the old-fashioned banker's box. And that's because these containers come fully collapsed, and when they're collapsed, they're just a little under 2.5 inches tall. And that's great because when these things aren't being used, they're thin enough that you could slide them behind something like your workbench. But the real value with these containers is their ease of assembly. If we take the lid off, you simply lift up on the upper tab and then everything slides right into place. And with this container fully assembled, it's got a depth of 1 foot by 22 inches long and 14 inches wide. And these containers are completely stackable so that you can stack them on top of each other to get them out of the way. And these containers are quite sturdy. Now I'm a big guy and I weigh quite a bit. Way too much. And I can easily sit on these containers with no issue whatsoever. So if you're looking for a sturdy, collapsible storage solution to put away some of those tools that don't get as much love on a daily basis, this thing might do the trick. Well, I really appreciate you joining me on checking out these 5 items that I just got from my shop. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like and leave a comment. It really does help out this small woodworking channel. Also, check out my new website, www.flynndogwoodwork.com. There you'll find some fun woodworking accessories, some tool recommendations, as well as some shop updates. Until next time, take care as always.
Some people just don't know what they're missing.